new tool just got released, and I think it could change the way we design with AI. But the best part is this. Some of these designs can be created almost with just one click. In this video, I want to give you a quick overview of this tool, the interface, and the main features. So the concept is actually pretty simple. You start with a screenshot, you generate UI from it, then you remix it, and after that, you can remix the remix. So instead of only getting one result, you can build an entire design direction step by step. So let's get into it. The tool is called Neuform, and you can access it at neuform.ai. Right away, when you land on the web page, you'll see some of the premium components featured in the community. And even though this example looks really polished, getting this kind of result is easier than you might think. Because with Neuform, you don't always need to start from scratch. You can take someone else's design, remix it, and create your own variation from it. So in a way, you can start from a premium UI and generate another premium UI from it. That's what makes the tools interesting. First, you need to create an account. You can continue with your Gmail account, or you can use another email. If you use another email, it will send you a magic link and you just connect through your inbox. Once you're in, you'll see an onboarding screen. You can skip it for now, but it's also kind of fun to fill out because it gives you a better feel on how the tool works. There's also a free account, and from what I saw, it gives you around 5 prompts to try. Soon there should also be a learn page, and it looks like a Discord community is coming too. Right now the learn page is still empty and the Discord button is not active yet, but that makes sense because the official release was very recent. So to keep it simple, the main idea of this tool is this. You can drag and drop a screenshot and Neuform will recreate the UI. Once it generates the design, you can apply what they call a skill to push the design in a different direction. And right now there are over 100 skills to choose from. Some are focused on layouts, some are focused on visual style, some are for interaction, and some are for animation. This is actually really helpful because instead of staring at a blank prompt and trying to guess what to write, you can see different creative directions are already available. It gives you a better idea of what's possible. And if you create something unique, you can also turn it into your own skill. You can keep it private or you can share it with the community. So once you're logged in, you will be redirected to your homepage. This is where all your generated designs live. You can filter them by all design, favorites, or hidden design. And that's useful because when you start generating variation, you'll end up with a lot of them pretty quickly. So if you don't like a result, you don't need to spend time fixing it. You can just hide it and move on. If you like a result, then you can favorite it, remix it, or keep refining it. That's the really main workflow here. You're not trying to perfect every single generation. You're exploring fast, really fast. You keep what works, hide what doesn't, and continue building from the best version. You can also create folders to organize your UIs. For example, if you're working on different sections of a landing page, you can create a folder for each section. Then you just drag the UI into the folder where it belongs. So here I just added 2 UIs into my section folder. It's simple, but when you're generating a lot of variation, this kind of organization becomes really useful. Now, if you look at the bottom left corner, you'll see the presentation mode. This lets you choose how your generated UI previews are displayed. You have 4 different layouts. There's the default view, Instagram slide, tablet, and mobile. So depending on how you want to review your design or how you want to present them, you can switch between those different formats. You also have a notification system. This will let you know if someone liked your design, favorited it, or if one of your UIs made it into the community section. Then you have the tree view. And I think this is one of the most interesting parts of the tool. The tree view is basically your design history, but shown visually. So let's say you start by dragging in a screenshot, then you generate a version, then you remix that version, then you remix the remix again. With the tree view, you can follow the entire evolution from the first design all the way to the latest version. So instead of only seeing the final result, you can actually see how one design slowly turns into something completely different. That's really useful, especially when you're exploring a lot of variation. Every thumbnail you see inside the canvas is clickable. So if you click on one, it opens the UI that was generated at that specific point. And once you start building a large library of design, this becomes really helpful. Instead of scrolling forever and trying to find one specific design, you can use the tree view to find it faster and understand where it came from. It's a small feature, but it makes the whole exploration process feel much more organized. Then you have the profile section. This part is pretty straightforward. You can edit your profile, view your public profile, check the latest updates in the changelog, and soon you'll also be able to watch tutorials and videos. You can also access the affiliate program. That could be interesting if you try Neuform, you like it, and you want to share it with your audience. From what I saw, I think the affiliate commission is around 30%. So that's something to keep in mind if you create content around design tools or AI tools. Now, if we move to the next tab, we have the community section. And honestly, this is where the tool becomes really interesting. This is where you'll find the work generated by other users on the platform. And this section is kind of like a gold mine. Because even if you don't have a lot of design experience, you can find something that already looks beautiful, remix it, and create your own variation in just a few clicks. So you're not starting from zero. You're starting from something that already has strong visual direction, and that makes it much easier to create something that has that wow effect. In the main feed, you can filter the design in different ways. You have featured, which shows the design that were selected for the community. Then you have trending, which shows the design that receive the most favorites. And under upcoming, you can see the designs that have been submitted but haven't been reviewed or approved by the moderators yet. You can also search by tags, which is useful if you're looking for a specific style layout or design direction. There's also a top creators section. Right now, there's only a few creators listed. Mengto is in first position, which makes sense because he's the founder of Neuform and he has generated a lot of really beautiful UIs. The other creators are mostly beta testers who had the chance to try the tool before the official release. I was also able to test it early, explore the features, and report some bugs before launch. So at the moment, a lot of the community designs are still from that early group of users. But as most people start using the tool, this section should become much bigger. And if you like the style of a specific creator, you can click on their profile and browse through all their work. For example, if you go to Mengto's profile, you'll find some of the most polished UIs on the platform. And the fun part is that with a subscription, you can use those designs as a starting point. You can remix them, create variation, and push them in your own direction. So in a way, you're not just using a design tool, you're also getting access to the visual thinking of someone with more than 20 years of design experience. And that alone makes the community section a really valuable part of Neuform. Okay, so now that we've seen the main interface of the tool, let's look at how it actually works. Because even though the concept is pretty simple, when you first open the interface, it can feel a little bit overwhelming. There's a lot of features, a lot of buttons, and it's not always obvious what each one does at first. So I'll go through them one by one and I'll show you what's possible. For this example, I'm staying on Meng's profile and I'm just going to select one design that looks interesting. Once you click on any UI, you'll see the option to remix with prompt. When you click on it, you'll see a prompt box at the top. This is where you can tell the AI what you want to do. So for the first test, I'll keep it very simple. I'll type recreate this layout, then I'll click iterate. Iterate means the AI will try to keep the original layout as close as possible. So it's not trying to completely redesign it. It's more like saying keep the same structure but generate a new version. And usually it does a pretty good job with that. Now I'll do the same thing again, same prompt, but this time I'll click Remix. Remix works differently. It still uses the original design as the base, but it gives the AI more freedom to explore. So instead of keeping everything super close to the original, it can move in a different direction. You're not giving it a very specific style here. You're basically letting the AI decide where it takes you. And right away in the bottom right corner, you can see the jobs that are currently running. I really like this part because it gives you a clear way to track your generation. You can see what's in progress and what's completed. Now let's click Remix with Prompt again, but this time I want to show you the Skills button. And this is where the tool becomes much more powerful. A skill is basically a detailed prompt that guides the AI towards a specific direction. So instead of writing everything yourself from scratch, you can select a skill that already contains instruction. There are a lot of skills available. Some are focused on layout, some are focused on colors, some are focused on animation, some are more about small design details like buttons, borders, spacing, or interaction. For example, here we have a skill called Mask Reveal. At first, if you just see the name, you might not fully understand what it does, but there's a button called U Prompt. If you click on it, you can see the actual prompt behind that skill. So in this case, the skill is about creating a mask staggered word reveal on scroll using JSAP scroll trigger. You can also see how many times each skill have been used, and that's useful because some skills are clearly more popular than others. For example, the top skill have already been used thousands of times, while some of the ones lower in the list have been used much less. So that can help you understand which skills people are using the most. For this example, I'll select the mask reveal skill, and then this is where you can get creative. You don't need to overthink it too much. I'll also select the orange clean paper SAS skill. This gives the design more of a clean SAS layout with orange accent colors. Then I'll add another skill for the diagonal corners on button. Now, if you look at the book icon, you'll see a number. In this case, it says 3. That means I selected 3 skill. Now I can click iterate because I want to keep the same overall layout, but apply those skills on top of it. You also have the quick remix button. With this one, you don't need to write any prompt. You can select just one skill and let the AI do the rest. So from the same original layout, you could create 5, 10, or even more variation just by testing different skills. That's why I think it's worth trying the one-shot prompt skills, because it gives you a visual idea of what each skill can do. And once you find a style you like, you can keep it in mind for future designs. Now we have a few jobs completed and a few more still in progress. I think you can run up to 6 jobs at the same time, which is only for the user with a pro subscription. With the free account, I think the limit is lower, maybe around 2 or 3 jobs at the same time. Now look at this. The first few UIs all came from the same original reference, but each one has a different direction because I used different options and skills. This one looks like it came from a remix, so the AI took it in a completely different direction. Personally, I don't like this one as much, but this one came from iterate and I applied a few skills on top. So as you can see, it's really easy to generate something new from the same base design. Sometimes it only takes one click. And because this workflow can create a lot of variation very quickly, you're obviously not going to like them all. Some will be good, some will be okay, some will be bad, and that's completely normal. So when you don't like a result, you can just hide it. It goes into the hidden folder and it keeps your main workspace much cleaner. Here's one important thing to know. The options you see are not always the same depending on whether you're looking at someone else's design or one of your own designs. Earlier, when I was working from another user's design, I only had 2 options, Remix with Prompt and Quick Remix. But now I'm going to my favorites folder. This is where I save some of the design I like the most. And when I click on one of my own UIs, you'll see that I have more options available. We still have the 2 features we already saw, Remix with Prompt and Quick Remix. But now we also have the Style Prompt feature. We also have the favorite button, the hide button, and the more menu. Inside the more menu, you can access the remix tree add the design to a project or folders, set it as private or export it. So if you want to organize your design into folders, you can do it from here. But like we saw earlier, you can also just drag and drop the design into a specific folder. If you don't want other people to access the design or see it on your profile, you can set it as private. And then you also have the export option. Right now, there are 4 export options. You can export as a HTML page, a Figma design, a React component, or a PNG image. So far, I've mostly used the HTML export. I also tested the Figma export a little bit, and from what I noticed, some designs transfer better than others. For the React component export, I haven't tested it enough yet, so I can't really give my opinion on that feature. And for PNG export, there's one thing I noticed. If your UI has animation, like text appearing on scroll or elements loading in, sometimes the screenshot doesn't capture the design at the final loaded state. So you might get a PNG where only one word appears or some elements are missing. For static layouts, the PNG export can work very well. But for animated layouts, I would probably let the design fully load first and then take a manual screenshot. Now let's look at one of the main features, which is the style prompt generator. This is where Neuform analyzes your UI and extracts the visual DNA of the design. It looks at things like typography, colors, spacing, materials, motion, and the overall visual direction. Depending on the design, some style prompts will have more information than others. If you only need one specific part, you can copy that section. But if you want the full package, you can click Copy All. Copy All basically copies the full visual DNA text and then you can paste it somewhere else. So let's test it. Here I'm going to copy the full visual DNA, then I'll go to another UI. I'll click Remix with prompt and I'll type apply this visual DNA. Then I'll paste the full style prompt. Before generating, I'll make sure to reset all the selected scale because I don't want to apply anything else here. I only want to apply the visual DNA. Then I'll click iterate. So we'll come back to this UI later once it finishes regenerating. Now I'm going to open another design. And this time inside the style prompt generator, instead of copying everything, I'm going to click Save All. The difference is that Save All will save the visual DNA as a private scale. So now I can reuse the style on any other design later. Here's how you can check if it worked. I'll go back to another layout, click Quick Remix, and then go to the Private tab. And now you can see that the new skill that was just created. If I select it, Neuform will apply that visual DNA to the current UI. And if you want to see more details about the skill, you can go to the chat box at the bottom, click the skill button, then click View Prompt. From here, you have more control. You can read the full skill, edit it, or delete it if you don't want to keep it. Now let's try again on another variation. I'll select Remix with prompt and type recreate this layout. Then I'll apply one of my visual DNA skills and click iterate. And I'll do the same thing again, but this time I'll click remix. So now one of our UIs is completed. Let's open it. And if I click on the preview, you can see where it came from. This is the original layout where I applied the visual DNA, and this is the final result. So everything is connected. There's a full chain that links the original design to the new variation. Now all the other UIs are completed too. And you can see that we have multiple variations coming from the same original source, but each one has different visual DNA. And this is really the beauty of the tool. It's made for fast exploration. You can move quickly, test different directions, and create new inspiration without starting from zero every time. Now there's more. If you click inside one of your own UIs, you'll see even more features. And this is what I meant earlier when I said the tool can feel overwhelming at first. The first time I've used it, I remember thinking, okay, there's a lot of buttons here. I don't really know what to do. But honestly, the best way to learn it is just to click around and test things one by one. After a few times, you start remembering what everything does. So I've been exploring the tool for around 3 weeks now before the official release. So now I'm more comfortable with the interface, so I can guide you through the main features properly. At the top middle, beside the two options we keep seeing everywhere, Remix with prompt and Quick Remix, you also have Target Element. When you activate it, you can click on a specific element inside the UI. Then you can write a prompt to modify only that selected element or section. So instead of changing the entire layout, you can target one part of the design. At the top right, you can also view the original prompt and the version. This is similar to the preview, but it gives you more of a written version of how the design was generated and what prompt was used. Then we have the More menu again. This is where you can add design to folders, make it private, or export it. And finally, there's one last button, Show Right Sidebar. These features only appear when you open one of your own UIs. You won't see all of this on the main page. And if you click on someone else's UI, you also won't get the same option. Once you open the right sidebar, you'll see 4 tabs. The first one is Style. This is where you can see the design system of UI in a visual format. You can see the typography, the colors, the visual DNA, the spacing, and other design detail. Everything related to the style of the UI is grouped in this tab. The Save button here works like the Save All button we saw earlier. It saves the visual DNA as a private skill. And each individual element can also be copied separately. Now, if we test the Copy button, you'll see that the visual DNA has been added to my private skills as a new style. The second tab is Prompt. This is another place where you can generate new variation. It's basically the same workflow we saw earlier, but presented in a more organized way. You can type your prompt, choose a quick remix, select skills, and choose the remix type. Here, the remix type gives you 2 options, iterate or remix. So again, iterate tries to stay closer to the original design. Remix gives the AI more freedom to explore. From an existing layout, you can also transform it into something more specific, like a hero section. This is really useful if you want to explore more layout while keeping the same style direction. And here's where you can create your own skill and share it with the public. If you scroll down inside the Prompt tab, you'll see an option called Turn to Skill. And you don't need to be technical to use this. For example, let's say I created a UI with an animated background and I want to turn that background style into a reusable skill. I can type something like create the animated background. Then I click Create Skill. Neuform will analyze the code from the UI and turn that into a detailed skill. So instead of me writing a complex technical prompt, the AI helps create the skill based on the actual design. Now, if I go to the public skills and search under my name, you can see that the skill was created. In this example, it created something called Quantum Particle Matrix System. And the description says it's a retrofuturistic WebGL particle field with curl Norse animation. So now this skill is public and anyone can use it. That's a really fun way to help the community grow, because when users share the skill, other people can create better design from them. And then those users might create something even more interesting, which gives everyone more inspiration. So it becomes a win-win situation. Here's another example. This UI was remixed into a hero section. It kept the same visual DNA and styling, but the layout was rearranged into a new section. Now, if you click on the Design tab, you can make direct visual edits. You can change the font pairing, adjust the spacing, change the font weight, and play with the color theme. For some reason, the preset color palettes didn't seem to work on this UI. But if you select each color manually, you can still change the color pretty quickly. You also have access to images from Aura's built-in library. So if you want to replace a placeholder image with something more interesting, you can do it from here. Same thing with icons. You can replace them and adjust the look of the design without needing to regenerate everything. One thing to remember though, when you're in design mode, make sure to click Save. Because if you go back without saving, you might lose your changes. So that's important to keep in mind. And finally, we have Code mode. This is another way to edit your design. This part is probably more useful if you have some experience with code, CSS, or Tailwind. Inside Code mode, you can manually edit the text, change the HTML, adjust the CSS, and make more precise changes. For me, this is actually one of the features I like. Sometimes I don't want to use my Neuform prompts, especially since I already have a ChatGPT subscription. So what I like to do is export the HTML code, bring it into ChatGPT, and make deeper edits there. Once I'm happy with the final result, I can come back to Neuform and replace the code. That way I can make more detailed changes without using extra prompts inside Neuform. So code mode is useful if you want more control, especially if you're comfortable editing HTML, CSS, or Tailwind manually. So now we've seen most of the features you'll probably use when you start exploring Neuform. But there's one more way to design, and that's image to code. The idea is simple. You take an image or a screenshot, drag it into the canvas, and Neuform will analyze it and recreate the UI in HTML. But before testing that, I want to show you where I like to get some of my inspiration from. The first website is SaaSpo. It's a place where you can find SaaS web design inspiration. You'll find a curated collection of some of the best SaaS landing pages on the web. You can search by category, by section type, or just scroll until you find something interesting. So when you find a section you like, you can click on it and save the image. The second website is OnSection, but the categories are broader. It's not only focused on SaaS landing pages. Everything is grouped by section type, like hero, features, CTA, footer, testimonials, and more. So again, you can browse a specific section, find something you like, click on it, and save the image. Now, inside Neuform, I'm going to drag those two screenshots directly into my canvas. For the first one, I'll simply type recreate this layout. Then I click iterate because I want to keep the same layout structure. And I'll do the same thing for the second screenshot. With the Gemini 3.1 model, the image to code feature is actually pretty accurate. So now the first one is completed, and if we compare it with the original screenshot, it's pretty close. The second one is also pretty close. But here's something important. You should not just drag a screenshot, recreate it, and leave it exactly like that. At the minimum, you should change the text content, change the color palette, and ideally rearrange the layer structure a little bit. The goal is not to copy someone else's design exactly. The goal is to use it as a starting point and remixing it into something new. So now I'm going to test two random skills on those screenshots. And when it's done, you can see that in just two steps, first dragging the image, then applying a skill, we already have two different layouts. That's where Neuform has a lot of potential. It lets you explore ideas very quickly and push your creativity in different directions without overthinking every detail. So that's it. I think I covered most of the main features available in Neuform. I hope you enjoy this tool as much as I do, and honestly I find it kind of addictive. Because when you remix on top of another remix, there's always a surprise. You really never know what the next version will look like, and just waiting for the generation to finish become part of the fun. But here's a small warning. This can get addictive really fast, so if you only have 200 prompts, they can disappear very quickly. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to share it with a friend or with your community. And if this helped you, leave a like, drop a comment, and I'll see you in the next video.